Hello, everybody. Robin here, and welcome to Toadstool Tarot. Sorry, there's a little bit of a delay because I couldn't find the countdown banner or whatever you call it. Actually, it's not what it used to be called. I think it looks like they changed it to it's under something called media assets now. And I thought, what the heck is that? So anyway, I did find it, and there was a little bit of a countdown there. Want to welcome everybody here today and hope everybody is enjoying great holidays, had a nice Christmas or whatever you celebrate, and working your way towards New Year's, still in the holidays. Let me say hello to Ange from Roots and Waves, Red Wing, Teddy, Kristen Louise, Dulcie, I think, SCB. And today we'll be looking at the most unique and illustrated tarot. Now, I don't know if you're like me. I love independently produced decks. And from time to time, I go on makeplayingcards.com and sort of window shop. And it is the most difficult website to navigate. Usually what I do is if I can find the decks in their marketplace, which is difficult to find to begin with, I click all and I go to the very end of the numbers and then kind of scroll my way backwards page by page. But they do have a search function, but even if you type in the search function, you often can't find things. For instance, the deck we're going to be looking at, I came across by chance. It is called simply An Illustrated Tarot. And if you go to search for An Illustrated Tarot, it will not come up. So I have put the link in the description below. I'm not sure if it's currently showing, but after we're done here, if you are interested in this deck, you can just click on the link and that'll take you right to the ordering page. And I think it's about $50, and then with shipping, it's somewhere between 10 and 20 more. So it's, ends up being a little bit of a hefty deck. Now, when I saw it, as you know, if you've worked with Make Playing Cards, where they also sell my decks, they usually show about 8 samples of cards, and I was intrigued enough by the samples to want to see more. And I found, by searching on YouTube, a little bit easier, I found a review or a walkthrough of the deck by a new channel I wasn't familiar with called Tarot Mechanic, which is a very nice little channel. So I'm also recommending that if you're not subscribed, you might check out Tarot Mechanic. I think they have only a few decks on there that they've reviewed, but very interesting reviews and walkthroughs. Ange has put the link in the comments. Thank you. And she's also put the link to Make Playing Cards in there. But anyway, once this is over, you won't see the chat for a while. So if you're in between, you'll find it in the description. Hello, Roxanne Stoner. I have a little something in my throat here. Was eating an apple beforehand, and I haven't quite finished my breakfast. So anyway, this deck, besides sort of not having a name really, An Illustrated Tarot, also has no descriptive information anywhere in the packaging or on the box or on the deck. There is no booklet. There is no printed information, nothing. Now, if you go to the Make Playing Cards page, you will see that the vendor for the deck is John Hosack, and he apparently is the creator of this deck. But beyond that, the deck is more of a mystery than it provides more questions, shall we say, than answers. There's no guidebook with it. Like I said, there's no publisher. I guess it's self-published. There's no information anywhere on the box. So anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and start to show you this thing. It was my treat to myself for Christmas. So this was kind of, I was gifted a couple of decks during the holidays, but this was the one that I bought for myself, and it's a very intriguing package, deck, whatever, to say the least. The box is this gloriously glossy box. It's one of those magnetic hinged ones, and the images on the box are a little bit confusing, to say the least. So let me show you. It opens like so, and if we look on the back, it creates a sort of a full-size illustration here of a man standing in front of a sort of a pyramidal shaped structure or cluster of triangles. It almost looks like a forest of Christmas trees. It's a little bit on the surreal side. And inside the box, it's blank inside with a little lift out ribbon, but there's this curious illustration here. It looks a little bit like Edward Gorey, but a little bit more, little darker. I think he had a little grayer long beard. But also the illustrations in this deck remind me a little bit of work by Edward Gorey, by Charles Addams, a little bit like Tim Burton, but not exactly like any of those people. But there's something in there, something in the aspect of these illustrations that is like all of those kind of curious elements. And I have mixed feelings about this deck. I like it a lot, but I think I like the majors more than the minors. The majors kind of make sense to me. And when I saw the walkthrough by Tarot Mechanic, I thought, gee, I'm not sure how I feel about those minors, but I may go ahead anyway, because even if I find them unusable, I can use this as a majors only deck, and I like the majors. So it's on the, is it S30? I'm trying to think. I have a tab open here. Yes, the S30 standard smooth cardstock that they use at Make Playing Cards. You have different stocks, but anyway, that's the one. And it's very slick. It's very easy to shuffle and work with. The backs are kind of curious. No edging. I don't edge decks, but you can do what you wish. Curious sort of kind of diagram on the back. Not sure. I mean, this doesn't really grab me, the back, so much, but it's intriguing. Now, I'm going to go through, and I think what I'm going to do, oh, hello, Donna. I'm going to go through, and I think what I might do is describe the images to you as well as show them, because my camera is not very good. And the images are kind of sharp and detailed. That's kind of like fine ink line art, very fine. and a very muted kind of melancholy color palette. So anyway, let's get on with it. The font is nice. This is the Fool card. Now, I should describe it probably before I show you, because I have to bring it down here to the light to look at it to describe. It shows a tall, barefoot man in a suit with short pants, or else his pants are hiked up to the knee, and he's wearing a little kind of a miniature sort of dunce cap. And next to him is a boy looking up at him. He's a tall man. The boy has a balloon on a string, which has no tension to the cord, to the string. So he may have released the balloon. I'm not quite sure. And next to him on the other side is a very small infant with devil horns. So, I mean, I think you can sort of see that, but I just wanted to make it a little bit more clear by the description. You may not be able to see the string there on the balloon. Well, it looks like maybe you can. You can't tell if it's in the boy's other hand or coming out of his head, or if it is just sort of had been released and is floating away. But I'm curious to see what you guys think about some of these images. So this is the Fool. Question is, who is the fool? Is it the boy? Is it the man? Somehow I don't think it's that little devilish baby, but it's intriguing. Next card is the Magician, which is it the same man? No, it's a different man, but similar looking, with a white beard and a dog. And the man is holding a wand that looks like a flashlight. And he's pointing it up into the dark night sky, which is star-filled. Now, his dog looks like, I can't tell if his dog has horns or several ears, or if it even is a dog. It almost looks like it has two tails and might even be a rat rather than a dog. I'm not sure what to make of that. But that's the Magician. Now, I love these illustrations. I'm not sure what you'll make of them intuitively, but the font is nice and clear. They're clearly labeled, and if you know your tarot, you can read with these regardless of what you might intuit from the imagery. I like the color palette. I like the illustrations. There's a degree of consistency in the majors that I don't find in the minors, but we'll see as we move along. Next is the High Priestess, which is also another very tall figure. She's got a floor-length black cape-like cloak and a very tall, regal sort of a hat that almost looks like it's got an island plateau on top of the hat, and a little star or a plant or something growing out of it. I'm not sure, but there's a kind of an elegance to her, and we don't usually see a high priestess standing like this with this degree of authority. But I do like the sort of otherworldly quality that she has in the shape of her face and the expression, the tiny little hands, the elongated figure. Hi, light is shining up. Significant? You tell me. You know, that's something to think about when you're looking at these cards. Now we're on to the Empress. The Empress is another tall female figure who is bald. She's wearing a crown, a crimson kind of blouse, possibly. And I don't know if it's a dress or blouse and skirt. There seem to be black geese in the background, and again, a sort of a night sky. She's not typically what I would think of as an empress type figure, but very intriguing. And I don't know what to make of these black geese or ducks, but I like them. She reminds me of a cone head. We're from France. You're talking about the high priestess, I think. Is she supporting nature? Now we have the emperor, and he is a similarly dressed, dark suited man sitting on a chair. It looks like in a room or by water with black clouds around him, and a gathering of little tiny black things on the floor, which I don't know what these are, whether they're some kind of undefinable creature, whether they're like miniature black geese, whether they're plants growing out of the ground. See, I don't know if you can see what they are. This almost has a sitting by the sea stage-like quality that we see in Pamela Coleman Smith's illustrations. And I can't tell whether this is outdoors or in a room, whether that's the sky behind him or a wall. And these are very Edward Gorey-like black clouds, sort of, or smoke filling the room if it's indoors or sort of surrounding him. Next, we have the let's see. Dulcie says, "I love the obscurity of these, but working with them would be a challenge." The Hierophant, we have a tall figure. Now, this kind of reminds me of some of the mysterious tall figures from the Studio Ghibli films like Spirited Away. And there's a young boy who looks almost like he could be from The Little Prince or something, wearing a pointed black cap. In between them is a cane, which I assume belongs to the tall Hierophant figure, but it seems to be standing on its own. And the drapery of the cloak that the man is wearing, the Hierophant is wearing, almost folds into what looks like tree roots. See down here. So I know I like quirky, eccentric, odd, weird decks and illustrations. And this certainly fits the bill for that. I just noticed also these cards are not numbered. Next is the Lovers. And this has, again, an old man and looks like a younger man or possibly a woman. The gender is not specific. The man is holding another balloon, a heart-shaped balloon, and it appears that they are in front of a seashore on a dreary day. I also kind of like the way that the labels, I mean, that the images are in a sort of a frame, and then the labels are below on the white card. And the way the border is kind of laid out, I like that. Very clean cards. Lots to contemplate in this art style, says Donna. The Chariot. Now, this is curious. It is a set of wheels upon which is a boat, upon which is a unicorn that people are riding in. And the unicorn seems to have 8 legs in very strange placement. And the first 4 people sitting in the unicorn is wearing a conical hat. So, I mean, we do have a vehicle, so that's obvious for the Chariot. We do have something very unique in terms of this kind of vehicle, as it seems to combine land, sea, mechanics, and nature or supernature. I mean, it's a unicorn, but I guess it's a sculpted unicorn because they're sitting within a cavity in the top of it. And notice how the legs are placed. Next is Justice, which is a set of scales. And under one side are 2 small children, and under the other side is a very large child looking up at the scales. Maybe I don't need to describe these to you. Maybe you guys tell me, are they clear enough that I don't need to be giving you a description? Maybe I should just show you first, and then if you have a question, I'll help to describe it. It's a little hard to see the strings holding the plates for the scale. Donna can make out the images okay, and Dulcie does too. Okay, good. Very clear pictures. This is a beautiful hermit. There's a hermit. See, I've already gotten into describing it for you. Don't think I need to, really. Hermit sitting by the sea, contemplating this lighthouse. I love the little pointed hat. I make pointed hats like this. I crochet. And what do you think of the color palette? I actually like these kind of muted blues and grays and blacks. It's sort of little on the moody side, maybe a little melancholy. Which is a very thoughtful hermit. The sky is filled with circling birds. And we don't see the hermit's face. Can't tell if I think he may be cross-legged, or maybe his knees are just drawn up. I'm not sure. But it's a nice hermit card, I think. The Wheel of Fortune is a man, again, sort of an instructor, and a youth. And there's a sea behind them, and a wheel with what looks like some kind of sea creature, where one of the fins is the pointer or whatever on this spinning wheel, as if, like, in the Wheel of Fortune, that kind of a wheel that sort of catches on these little rickety posts as it spun around. But I think you can't see very well, but there are sort of strange markings around the edge that look like kind of like an alphabet, but I don't think they're very hard to see, and I'm not sure they are an alphabet or that they actually spell anything. These cards are a great choice. I love them. The palette's very calming. I like melancholy. I do too. Looks like a shark. You might get the fin or you might get the mouth. Yikes. Yeah. This is curious. Here's the strength card with something that looks sort of like an elephant, but yet not. I mean, it's got like kind of hairy legs with sort of single toenails, maybe some kind of large beast with little hands and two either tusks or trunks or I'm not sure what. And this little man seems to be either conversing with this beast or instructing him or telling him what to do, and holding a wand that looks a little bit like a brush, a paintbrush or something. Sorry, my hands are not real still and the camera isn't the sharpest, but hoping you can kind of get the gist of these images. It really is like a bizarre storybook, isn't it? Next, we have the Hanged Man, and here we have some kind of a frame that looks almost like braided rope. And this man is hung by, I think, a hat that's tied to a string hung from the sky or the top of that rope or whatever overhead over, I believe, a body of water, because there seems to be a ship at sea with some man or a male figure on it, sort of pinioned in the rope-like structure of the boat. Death, the death card. We have a similar figure, but with a death-like mask and a scythe of sorts in weeds. And oh, there's a moon there too. I can't quite tell if they're birds in the sky or they're just specks of flotsam. Next, we have the Temperance card, which is an angel wearing headphones and looks like a bewildered kind of young woman, a little on the sad side. Wonder what she's listening to, or maybe these are just soundproofing headphones. And there seems to be some sort of a committee behind her sitting at a long table and looking over some information. Very intriguing Temperance card. I think there's a lot of psychological stuff to intuit from this deck, but it's not readily apparent at first glance. I think you can probably read more into it the longer you spend time with it. Now, this is a really cool devil card, I think. We have a new color in here. We've got red, and we've got a three-legged devil that looks almost like a therapist or something consulting a red book, and a small child with red marks all over its face. I don't know if it's meant to be injuries, acne, freckles, what is large-eyed, strange-looking child, and a very curious-looking devilish figure. What do you think of that? I like the three legs. and the legs crossed. The chair seems to have 3 legs too. And the horns almost look like hair instead of horns. No, I think they're horns. They are cross-hatched horizontally, so they are horns. Next, we have the tower. I'm not going to spend as much time on the minors when we get there. Nice tower. Nobody falling from it, but we do have a lot of figures up at the top, like they're sort of potentially waiting to fall or jump. They're very small and they're kind of hard to see. And there's a figure here at the base of the tower. I do find this to be a very provocative deck. The star, we have a man under a star, but shielded by an umbrella, sort of acting as a lampshade, and yet all this illumination is coming from under the lampshade, as if it's being somehow filtered down from the star through the umbrella. Is the devil reading the child a bedtime story? The stories we tell ourselves? That's interesting. That's super confusing. I'd like to get the deck and spend more time with it. Yeah, and it's intriguing, too, that there's no guidebook with it. No explanation. The only thing you have is what you see with your eyes and the labels that we're familiar with from the tarot. Here we have the moon, which is a large, very large figure, and a small figure, both kind of contemplating the moon. Large figure almost seems like the man in the moon or somehow related to this moon. The moon almost looks like it has an aghast kind of a face expression on it. The sun is a figure with a sort of a sun face or sun mask or sunflower face. Donna says many of the cards have a large and a small figure, almost like an inner child thing going on. Also, we often have an older figure and a younger figure, so there's that too. Judgment. This almost looks like a student reporting to the principal, you know, for detention or something. I can't tell if that's a little bottle and a cup. Almost looks like a chess piece, but I think it might be an ink, one of those inkwell kind of things, bottles. I don't know. This kind of brings back, not nightmarish, but kind of dark memories of grade school. Not the most pleasant memories of discipline in grade school. I like that sun, but I pretty much like every sun that has no creepy baby. Looks like Charles Darwin. Yeah, it does. Now, there is a kind of, here's another fish element, like that shark on the Wheel of Fortune, the world. It looks like a beached porpoise or or dolphin or something. I think it has more fins than we usually see on porpoise or dolphin. And again, a sort of Darwin-like or Edward Gorey-like figure with these two boys. Maybe he's instructing them on the nature of longer life in the world, as they're pretty young and sort of just discovering things. Not sure image-wise whether I see this as the world or it could be the Wheel of Fortune to me if it wasn't labeled. I don't know. Maybe just because of the circular image, but it is like an open hoop. Okay, now we get into the minors, and I won't go into details. We're 3/4 of our way almost into the stream today. Now, these are a little bit, if you thought those were puzzling, these are a little bit more difficult. Looks like Charles Darwin. Donna says, if we don't take care of our planet, we'll end up with mutant sea life. All right, now there are a few other colors in here. We're in the wands now, and there does seem to be an orange element. I see here in a fire in the wands. Here we have what looks like a tattooed figure on the Ace of Wands holding up a wand and something that looks like a kind of a, perhaps sort of some Masonic symbol or something. I don't know. Two of Wands. We've got two trees. Also looks like either a broken branch or two somethings reaching out towards one another. And I don't know if that's I think a figure near the bottom. Very odd deck. 3 wands. These almost look like pen nibs from fountain pens. Looks like people in 3 little boxes or 3 little boats. Don't know. I mean, you might say that in the majors there wasn't consistency, but I find even less consistency in the minors. 4 of Wands. I think you have to admit this is not your typical mass market deck. There's a face. Five of Wands. Now, this almost reminds me of the, is it Little Monsters tarot? The way it's illustrated. I don't know if you know that deck. And I think the host of the other channel, Tarot Mechanic, even sort of put out questions or feelers like, would you be able to work with this deck? Could you figure out how to make it work, how to use it? Now, I've gotten to a stage where I tend to like sort of pip style unusual decks, as long as they're clearly marked, pardon me, with rank and suit or label. I can work with them. I can work with that. I don't actually need an image. The images are just sort of an extra layer for me to tune into. And I kind of like when they're more obscure like this, where it's not like an instant intuition. It's sort of like you sit and okay, we know this is a Seven of Wands, but if we just kind of let ourselves lose focus a little bit and just kind of daydream over it, does something come into our intuition that we're able to use? And again, if I feel like the minors aren't working for me, I felt like the majors were strong enough that I can work with those alone or on their own. It's refreshing to see something unique and different versus the same old RWS clone. Yeah, but doesn't this make you wonder through what was going through was it John Hossack? What was going through his mind when he conceived of these? This is one where, even though I don't like to rely on guidebooks, I would love to have his commentary on his creations and you know what he was thinking or what occurred to him when he created some of these images. Nine of Wands, this is a little bit more typical or connected with what we're used to. Ten of Wands is intriguing. This is like a parade of sort of dunce-like figures walking together. Page of Wands. You know, also this kind of reminds me, I don't know why, don't ask me why, I'm not sure I can explain it. Kind of reminds me of the Sassurabito tarot. No, I don't know if it's the color limitation or no, because that's like watercolor and line work, isn't it? I don't know. There's something. I don't know. The Knight. I may be lingering a little bit too long on these images, but since they're hard to intuit, I think you need all the help you can get. Very strange queen. It's interesting that a lot of the women, or all the women, seem to be bald. And a lot of the men seem to be bearded. Grumpy looking guy. The two of you in conversation would be fascinating. Two of who? Donna says it reminds her of a combination of the Chicoli and the Shadowlands. Yeah, there's some of that in there too. Now we're swords. And the figures in the deck seem to look through you. Oh, sorry, I can't brace my hand or hold it more still. I don't have an edge of a table or anything here to balance on. Two of Swords. Sometimes I'm almost relieved when I get a card like this and it's a little more obvious what's going on here, or there's a battle or something. Three of Swords. I guess it's sharp enough. I'm lucky that I don't have what a lot of people have, that have channels where the camera keeps trying to refocus. Mine is just set at whatever focus it allows. I'm just going like this so you can see the details a little bit better, not to try and get it to focus more. Because if you just get the whole card, somehow it loses some of the intriguing details that you might pick up more from when you zoom in closer, like the wrinkles in their knees or the pointy little feet or standing on an apple, or I don't know what that is. It's even too small to see in front of me. It's larger on the camera. Now these are almost too diagrammatic for my taste. Again, I'm not sure how I'm going to feel. I think time will tell reading with these pip-like cards. Oh, hi, Gerald. Most of the details are showing up well. Okay. Six of Swords. Gerald, I hope you'll go back to the beginning, because as I've been telling people, I'm quite fond of the unusual major arcana, but the minor arcana is much, much more challenging and more difficult for me. And I'm not even sure if I will end up using it or if I will just use it as a majors only deck. Eight of Swords. Well, we do have, at least they're in a boat. No, wait, that's the Six of Swords, isn't it? In a boat. Yeah, that's totally different. I'm confused. Nine of Swords, they're in a bed. Okay, I'm on track there. Ten of Swords, this looks like a Nine of Wands. So there's a sort of a surreal quality to this deck. Here's the Page of Swords. I love how the pages are these strange, large-headed children. But being in a boat in the middle of the sea, we could feel just as trapped as in the traditional Eight of Swords. That's true. Knight of Swords. This is one of the most different cards in the deck. There's like an Erte quality to the, I mean, this is very glamorous, this Queen of Swords. Very curve-like imagery. And it kind of throws me. when I said that the minors seemed less consistent to me in a way than the majors. It was almost like a group artist deck or something, as if the styles changed slightly. I appreciate that there are the correct number of swords won actually on the minor cards. That's important to me as a reader. Yes, and also they're clearly labeled, but they don't have any numbers on any of the cards. King of Swords. Now we're on to the cups. Ace of Cups. Two of Cups. Looks sort of like two nuclear cooling towers. Three. I do like that we have water in the cups suit. Wow, the whole bottom of her dress is made of swords. Don't cross this, queen. I hadn't noticed that. Maybe, yeah, maybe they are. I'm not sure. Four of Cups. And this looks stylistically different too. This is almost like a Leger painting or a Mondrian. Five of Cups. Six. These really make you think. They're so far removed from RWS imagery for the most part. Seven. Eight. Nine. That's funny. They almost look like children, but they're all little bearded men. I do love this 10 of Cups. They're like stacked to the sky. And someone's standing in the top. This to me has a very 10 of Wands feel to me in a way. You know, it's like overwhelming. One cup on another, sort of trying to hold too much or do too much. The Page. This might be a deck that I have to come back and do another video on after I've worked with it for a while and have gained some kind of insights. Because at first glance, you guys are giving me great things that you see, but it's not an immediate kind of connecting deck. I don't think. And look at now, is his foot on backwards, or is the shoe in a stirrup? And I mean, it looks almost like a stiletto heel on backwards. I don't know what to make of this. I see that the person in the top has achieved the dream, but the person on the ground is feeling left out. Another run through would be super. This deck needs more time. Well, this is one too. If any of you get this deck and want to do a dialogue with me on it live, it'd be interesting to look at the cards again with somebody else and trade off thoughts or ideas on it after it's been used a bit. There's a Queen of Cups. It's almost like she's got a hot water bottle on her head. King of Cups. Now, finally, the coins. Ace of Coins. It's a minimalist, surrealistic deck. Not everything will make sense. Two of Coins. It almost looks like Isaac Newton or something. Three of Coins. That looks like the guy that was on the box. And again, is this an alphabet? Kind of. I mean, the letters are familiar, but I don't know if it's saying anything. Is it Latin? This was one of those impulse purchases that I made. But I find so few decks anymore that intrigue me to this degree that I wanted to spend more time with it, that I went ahead with this. And I had some trouble, actually. It got delayed, or shall I say lost in the mail. I got a couple of notices that it should have arrived by a certain time, and then one from the post office that it did arrive in my mailbox, but it hadn't. So I went into complete panic and then complained to both make playing cards and the post office. And then it finally did show up about a week later. So I finally have it now, and I'm relieved. I had to issue an apology, but they send me information, and then the information's inaccurate. So what is one to believe? And again, since this is such an odd deck, I'm kind of glad to have it in my collection. But is it one of those oddities that I'll use, or it'll just remain on my shelf, and then every once in a blue moon when somebody goes, "You have any odd decks or something a little different?" Oh, yes, I've got one here. Let me just pull this out and show it to you. 8 of coins. Nine of coins. And this is one of those I don't know, do you consider this a pip deck? I mean, it is kind of a pip deck, but I mean, it's one of those in between ones where it's pips, but there are scenes going on the pip cards. 10 of coins. Page. Knight. Queen. And king. So nothing is so strange. Hello. So interesting. I'm going to have to watch this again. And also check out, it's actually sharper and clearer in, give me a second. There's somebody at my door. Excuse me. A delivery person, it's probably not even for me, but since packages go missing and I am expecting something, I thought I better address it. I did turn my phone off for this, but anyway, where were we? Ange has again put in the link for the other channels walkthrough. Tarot Mechanic, I think, is the name of the other channel. It's a wonderful group of illustrations that just happen to be in tarot format. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, thank you for joining me and having a look at this very strange self-gift and purchase for the holidays. And, you know, I often do find intriguing decks on both Etsy and on Make Playing Cards that I wouldn't ordinarily find in shops. So, again, it's called An Illustrated Tarot, I believe, by John Hozak. And I put that in the description. But as I said, there's no marking on the box of any kind of identification. Just give you another final quick look at the box. We see this strange figure here and all these kind of secret buried images in this cluster of triangles or trees, and this mystery figure here, very hermit-like. So make of it what you will, and I may return at some point and give you additional thoughts on this deck. I'll show you the backs one more time. Odd, huh? All right. I will see you all probably next Saturday. And I think I'm going to do my annual top 10. And it's not going to be all the decks I got this year because I didn't buy 10 decks this year. But it's going to be the 10 decks I used the most this year, which is a little bit of a different take. I think when Kelly Bear did hers, it was her top 10, including new purchases and old purchases. But mine is going to be specific to most used over the last year. I guess you can approach your top 10 any way you want to, but that's the way I'm going to do it. So I'll see you all next week. Have a great week. Have a great new year. Celebrate, but don't go overboard. And we'll have things to talk about next week. Bye.